seen many of your videos, and I can feel your energy, and my intention here is to share more of what you're doing and your knowledge and wisdom and love with even more people on the internet. So it's an honor.
Thank you. So for me also, thank you.
So Mooji, thank you so much for accepting this interview here for YouTube.
Thank you. Thank you.
I would like to start with you and ask you, how do we become the way we are? Because it seems to me that we start as a spirit, we enter this body, and then through life lessons and experience, we become more and more fearful of life, of people, of things, and we have a hard time. And then eventually we arrive to this point where we want to learn more, we want to love, we want to reopen our heart, and it can be difficult. How did we get the way we are now? Why do we have to go through this process?
I don't think anybody can give one definitive answer to this. We have many different thoughts about this, but certainly what we can say it seems to some extent that I say sometimes, in the same way that all the beings who live in the ocean are wet, in the same way all the beings in manifestation get conditioned somehow. Mm-hmm. You see, it's like it's unavoidable to an extent, but some seem to have found a way of perfect understanding, which somehow takes you out of the dream. And I have to call it a dream, because when we come to see from the true place of our being, it will be seen like a dream. And by dream, I don't mean just a fuzzy dream, but a dream in the sense that it is created in our minds also, you know. Yeah. It's not easy to say this to the vast majority of people, because they will not accept it. This world seems real, authentic, continuous, objective, solid, and actual. So real. We don't question it, you see. We don't question it at a certain point. But there was a time when it was not so real for us. You see, even in childhood, we saw the world with different eyes, you know. And so I'd have to say that we have grown, and through our habits, conditioning, to reach the present viewing point that we are now looking from. It's not fixed. It's not fixed. It's very unique. Each person's perception of the world is very unique, you know. In the same way, I say that we cannot share our dreams with people. If you have a dream, even your beloved could be sleeping next to you. They cannot experience the dream, your dream, in the way that you experience it. In the same way, in the waking state, nobody can experience it in your unique way. It's very unique and subjective. So, you see, maybe there's a common earth, but a very uncommon world. Each one has their own unique perspective and the way it's perceived, you know. But it mixes also, because we can talk about these things. We share some things, of course, no?
Yeah, yes, and then, but it seems like mainly we need this really hard experience. People experience death around them. People experience diseases or job loss to finally reach a point where we see that there is more to life than this physical body.
Yes.
And we need suffering. We need suffering to finally see that there is another dimension to life. Do we need that state? Do we need that to finally realize?
Each one require their own unique medicine. For some, just some verbal instructions also may really enter their hearts, and they can use this guidance to come to clear seeing. Mm-hmm. For another, that will not work. They have to go through intense pain, causing to themselves and others, to reach a point of almost you exhaust all your options and you are really screwed up. And then somehow perhaps an opening, an insight may come out of this this point of desperation. Or you see, like this, it happens, no?
Yeah.
Yes, yes. In many cases, it is like that. Not in every case. Many people also find themselves deeply attracted to these questions, like, why am I here? What's it all about? All this type of thing, you see. And some urge manifests inside themselves and seems to be, they cannot put aside this urge to come to a clear understanding of really what this old world life existence is about, somewhere like that. But whichever way they come, the discovery in the end becomes complete, and peace comes.
Yeah.
And freedom, understanding, clarity, joy, all of this comes. And our minds are not our boss anymore.
Yeah. But there is this point where you realize suddenly that there is more. You can be on the floor praying, or you're in this really place of all of a sudden you finally see the light, and you have this moment of aha, and of, oh, there is something more. And then the mind crawls back in. Or then there is the things that you're so excited and you see so much, you're in this new chapter of your life. How do you make this? There seems to be this transition, and then you want to move fully in this new life that you see, those new possibilities. But yet there is constantly, it's like it tears you right back in. How do you deal with that? What would be your recommendation to best transition and allow all this more and more to happen?
It is a question really about a kind of maturity that takes place, because there are many people have this experience that you speak about, a kind of breakthrough, an opening. Yeah. They may say also an awakening take place, and your perspective changes so drastically. Yeah. And the world is seen completely with new eyes, and there's a great freedom, a natural joy and spaciousness, and you're full of zing and like this and like this. But still, it does not mean that we have lost our ego. You see, in this state, something, grace, I may use the word grace, something has brought about this experience where we see for once that it is possible to experience life completely differently than how we have been trained or conditioned to perceive it. Yeah. An opening that is completely effortless, joyful, open, and non-sectarian. There's no dogmas. It's not just traditional. You are present effortlessly. And of course, it is full of joy. And then it seems the mind comes in again. Uh-huh. And again, some identification came up again, and the old me comes back, you see? Yeah. And I say that it will happen like this for a while, because the old mind and tendencies are still lurking there. And what has happened is that you experience a doubtless state, a doubtless experience. You have been in direct contact with your own self in that time. But then mind comes again, and somehow, just with the arising of the mind, the whole thoughts, all patterns seem to reinsert themselves. And what is being pointed to is that you are still the witness of this movement, in the same way that the joyful experience arises for you, but you're still there to perceive this, you see. Mm-hmm. You're still there, still here to experience this beautiful joy. And you're still here to experience the seeming passing away of that and the coming in of the mind. You're still in the position of observing this. But because we identify with the new stage, we say, oh, I want to be here, I want to have more of this.
Yeah.
See? And this feeling is, of course, it's natural. The sense, I want to have more of this. But here is something that I would like you to hear again, and your listeners to hear. Yeah. This one who feels, oh, I want to be more like this, I want to have this experience. It is really itself not the true you. It's not really your true self. It is also the mind, which is an aspect of yourself, but it is still the aspect of yourself that wants something. I want this, and oh, now I got it, I want to keep this. You are not there. You are still deeper than this. You are the pure awareness in which this thought, this feeling, which feels so treasured and so valuable, it comes. But from the position of awareness, awareness does not value anything, nor is it lacking anything to want something to stay or to go. And this is what I try to point, because when this is recognized, that what is really constant here is the awareness that we are, and not the movement, however sweet and however powerful it can come. That is also beautiful, and it will come. But what is more important is to recognize the awareness within which even this beautiful state appears and disappears. The awareness within which even the mind, in its confusion, in its drama, in its anticipations, in its desires and attachments, that also appears and that also passes. But what does not pass is the awareness that we are. Now, awareness is not necessarily appealing to the mind, and yet the mind itself appears in awareness. I just have to, time and again, just make this point, because it is so easily missed, the obviousness of what I am speaking about, you see, because we want to have something, and the highest thing a human being feels that they can have is enlightenment. But both the enlightenment and the one who wants it are both a phenomenon arising in the mind. This is not easy to accept, and of course I'm not just asking people to accept it. It doesn't work like this. But first, to allow some space, to allow these words to have a space in you, to happen, and to do their work also. Because the resisting mind, the habituated mind, will initially resist this. It just seems too way out, too strange initially. But nevertheless, just allowing, at least being neutral and saying, okay, maybe there is something is felt here, but I don't understand it. That this is okay. Because understanding itself is not something that you have to work so hard at getting. It's a beautiful thing that happens, because what is being spoken of here is already inside us. And somehow in hearing it from apparently outside, the flower of consciousness opens up in a broader way. You see?
And so is this why you say don't let your mind leave your heart?
Yes. Don't necessarily fight with the mind, but when I say don't let the mind or your attention leave your heart, let it be sitting in the lap of the heart. And like this, you see everything is fine.
Heart. Wow.
It's just an expression, we can say this, but that somehow there's a way in which this understanding, we are so intuitive and sensitive that you may not understand this in a rational way, but in an intuitive and felt way, it speaks to us. When I say the words, don't let your mind leave your heart, somehow the heart knows this, and the mind also knows this. And something is allowed to just find its right place. And out of this understanding, this intuitive understanding, something, a new orientation comes out of this, a softness and a broadness at the same time,
And I also...
In another way of putting it is that, because very often, still on the point you asked, we are constantly reading life much too personally. We take it personally, we want it personally, we reach towards life personally. Gradually, the evolution of the being is towards emptiness and openness. Because out of this, then spontaneously, what we need to know or to discover does happen. But we have to have the eyes to see it. You have to have the space to allow yourself to see it.